So as you can already sense the potential of creating consciously, and you sense a desire in yourself. For example, you sense the desire to receive something that you lost a long time ago, and that you're very fond of, that means a lot to you. And you know that this thing, this object, exists somewhere in this reality, in this physical reality. And you wish that it may come back to you. You know potentially, because you know how reality works, that this is a possibility. At the same time, it is in the realm of magic, because there is also this part that you can sense within yourself that has a hard time to believe that this could happen. Because you cannot see it yet on a practical. You only know that the potential is there because you understand how reality works. You understand that all it would take is that if you can believe it, that it can come back to you. It can come back to you in a way that when it happens, you understand how it could happen. You understand, oh my goodness, all the trajectories that were not available to you, that you were not aware of, now in that moment when this object comes back into your life, it goes click, 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 and you're like, oh my God. And you can see how, even though it's magic, it's a possibility. Now, as you are saying this, you are remembering many times in your life where objects have been lost and you could not make any sense of where they went and how they could have gotten so lost because you looked everywhere. That was the idea. That was the understanding. And now you just remembered one time when it felt like magic. When you had looked in the same place many times for your grandmother's needle, and it was gone, and you could not understand, and it was just, all you had to look through was your basket of sewing utensils, where you kept all your needles, where they would have been, and it wasn't there. And that basket is a small basket. And you looked many times in the same place and it wasn't there. And so then you started to look for where it could otherwise be. And you started to imagine all these stories of what could have happened to it. And you really got upset because this needle meant a lot to you and you didn't want to lose it. And after going through all these birthing pains, so to speak, after going through all these possibilities and not finding it, what happened? You looked one more time in a place that you had already looked many times. And it was there. And that moment, when you found your grandmother's needle, in a place that you had looked many times, the same day even. That was a moment of magic. You were deeply touched. You felt the magic. And magic is when we cannot explain it with the belief system on the outer manifested masculine principle belief system that we are holding and that we are experiencing, the normal reality belief system of the waking life. We cannot explain it with those within that framework. It defies that framework. So it is in the realm of the inside. It is in the inner realm, and it is in the realm of magic when that works together with the outer realm, when it becomes that one flow. And that magic can only happen when there is an opening, when that distortion field allows, that distortion field of where those two are separate, where we only pay attention to and value the physical outside, when in that distortion field of I am separate, and the whole reality that is based on that premise opens up to all the inside potential, the inside reality, the other part of reality that we have been shunning off our understanding and our paying attention of. And so we must open, there must be an opening for magic to be able to happen. There must be an opening so that these two fields can connect in real time. And so that we then, through that opening that is within us as a potential of understanding, yes, of course this can happen. Of course magic can happen. And even when we can explain it because of how reality structures itself in vibrational timelines, and we dial ourselves in, we are the dial that dials itself in through our belief system, through the thoughts that we hold, through the thoughts that are active and in our unconscious and in our subconscious, through the symphony that we are, we dial ourselves in. And we will see what we pay attention to, and we will experience what we believe. And if within that whole symphony of vibration there is an opening where we hold that for possible, that potential possible, then magic can occur through desire. You see, it pulls it forth. And then once it happens, okay, so the needle is back where you looked for it in the first time because that's where you remember putting it. But of course, you looked so many times in this whole basket, especially in where you always looked the first time. Gosh, why isn't it here? I put it here. And it wasn't there. And so when you found it there, in the end, what happened? Your mind tried to make sense of it. And your mind, however, the way that the mind tries to make sense of it is simply by saying, oh, I looked, but I didn't see. For some reason. It was there the whole time, but I didn't see it. But that would be to not value your experience. That would be to not value the experience that you had, because how is it possible that you would have looked in the same place in one ball of yarn where you had your needle sticking in, and you would have looked there, let's say 5 times, and every time you would not have seen what the one needle, and there were maybe 3 or 4 needles sticking in it, or maybe none at all, I don't remember. But even if there would have been 4 needles or 3 needles sticking in it, but your grandmother's needle wasn't there, don't you think you would have seen your grandmother's needle if it would have been there? You see? Yes, you would have. Obviously you would have, but you didn't. So that means it wasn't there. Or, what does it mean? And that's when it gets into the realm of magic and is so beautiful. And this can happen. And now you have a greater understanding of how this can happen through the shifting of timelines, through the shifting of vibration, and then we shift into a different reality where the needle is there, where it was there the whole time. And now you're also collectively coming across this Mandela effect, which shows you, which is exactly this phenomenon, which what it does is it brings to you into your conscious awareness the structure of reality, of these different vibrational realities that are on timelines, because dimension is always in time and space. And so how we shift dimensions the whole time, just simply ever so slightly that we don't notice. And then it shows us that we can actually make a greater dimensional shift. So it shows us the potential we have to make huge shifts depending on what we can imagine. It all depends on our belief system. So now let's go to the this object that you desire to bring back into your physical, into your hands, into your possession. This object that you lost a long time ago, and that, however, surely hasn't been destroyed. It is a thick pendant made out of silver. So you can believe that it still exists somewhere now in this physical reality. However, you're having a hard time to imagine how it could come back to you. That is where you're having a hard time. And if you cannot imagine it, then it is still, there is the distortion field that will keep it from happening. You can't dial yourself into that reality. Now, having said that, going back to your grandmother's needle, you did not know how it would come back to you, but you did not give up the hope that it would come back to you in some way, that you would find it in some way. That was there as a strong belief. Yes, I believe I will still find it. Even though it baffles me, I don't know where else it could be, and I don't know how it could come back to me and how I could find it. But the belief that you would find it as a potential, not 100%, you were not 100% sure that you would find it, but you definitely thought it was possible. Very, very probable even. You even thought it was probable that you would find it. And that was the opening for that magic to happen in that way. Because you didn't find it somewhere else where a story then would come to your mind. Oh, right, this is why it's here. And then everything would fit again, and it would come to you in that way. No, it came to you in that way so that you could feel the magic. And what really was so beautiful about it was that it was your grandmother's needle, and you felt the magic of you felt your grandmother very, very close in that moment. Because why would you be so attached and have such a feeling, a positive emotion, a strong emotion, a strong attachment to a needle? Otherwise, a needle that you could just buy in a store, very totally similar kind, or even almost the same kind, but it wouldn't be the needle of your grandmother, you see. So it had very much to do with your grandmother, and that's why it showed up in a place where it wasn't before. So for one thing, what it did was very much it bonded you again with your grandmother. So there was a love field. And the other thing it did was, as it is coming also now back into your awareness, teach you about the reality, the structure of reality. Teach you about dimensions and timelines and how we dial ourselves in and how we can shift dimensions and how we can thereby we shift timelines and how the structure of reality works. And this is how it teaches you by remembering, by opening up and recognizing the creative powers that are running through us the whole time, and how we are a part of that, how we engage with that, how we co-create with that, how we are a part of our own creation. And in the end, it is our creation. It is just, when we say our, it is just to the degree of how much I can open up to who I am, to that me that I am. And the me that I am is always the experience of me. And as the experience of me expands, as I connect more and more inside with my non-physical self, so to speak, soul, with my soul self, which is ever, 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 ever more expansive. Also in the light body, it expands, and it then includes other light bodies. It is connected to other light bodies and so forth. As I do that, then I connect with more and more where the desire comes from, where the influence comes from, where the stream comes from, that is flowing into the tip here and through the tip here. And then I become also more, as this stream becomes stronger, as I wake up to it, it will, of course, there's a stronger light stream that now is pushing itself through whatever is left of your distortion field, whatever is left of what is not vibrating in harmony with truth, what is not vibrating in the truth of connectedness, really, because it is unified field, is the connected universe. That is the new paradigm. That is the paradigm we have now woken up to. And because I can say this like this, we can say this like this because it is the new science that is coming forth. It is down to the level of science, of hard fact science, that this is a reality, that the reality is connected completely, and that separation can only be an illusion, because as we look at reality, it is not there. It cannot be proven. Yeah, it cannot be proven. Separation can never, ever be proven. Okay. So let's come back to the object of your desire. Let me have a quick sip here of tea. This object of your desire, obviously, you also have an emotional attachment to, because someone you love made it for you. You don't know how you lost it. You don't know how it got lost. It just wasn't there anymore one day. You believe absolutely that it is not destroyed, that it still exists. Yet you have a hard time, like you didn't have a hard time with the needle. With the needle, you felt it probable that it would come back into your hands, let's just say hands, field of experience, one day, in one way or another. You would find it. It was sliding between hope, possibility, and probability, but that was enough opening for it to happen, because the desire was so strong, and then the emotional connection was there as well. So that made it that made the desire. That's what the desire was about, and that's what brought it forth and made magic possible. Okay. Now what we have here in this case, however, is that you realize that you have a hard time imagining how it would be possible to come back to you, especially because you lost it in a place very, very far away from where you are now, and you are not sure whether you lost it or perhaps it was stolen, it was taken from you. You are not sure. You are not sure whether it is still within the vicinity that you visited. You don't know any of that. And so it is, your mind is having a hard time to open up to, well, how is it supposed to to seeing that possibility, how it should come back to you. And it is like, so that's what makes it, you say, well, I know from the structure of reality that potentially it could be possible because magic happens. Wonder is always possible in the inside, in the potential. It is always possible. All things are possible. And they exist in a parallel dimension on a timeline. It could come together in a way where it could come back to you and you could make sense of it. At the moment, you can't see how that would be possible. You can feel that there is a limitation there. There is a block. Yes, and that you cannot even have. It's like you feel that you don't even dare to have hope because you can't see how. Let's put it that way. You can't see how with your abilities that you have right now, even though you know from the structure of reality it is possible. And that's why we're even talking about this. That's why you even have the desire to bring it back, because you believe in magic. Now, what we're showing you and what we're getting at is that there is, as long as there is that distortion, what does it feel like? That it probably won't happen. It's not impossible, but how are you going to dial yourself into a timeline where that possibility is open? As long as you cannot see that possibility, as long as there is that distortion, as long as you still, what it is that at the moment you still you're offering the vibration of sorrow and sorrow on account of the lack of it is stronger, and the fear of not getting it back, and the fear of there's a fear of not getting it back. There is that sorrow of having lost it forever. That's why it keeps coming back into your mind, like, oh, I'm so sad about having lost it. And just recently, the idea came of, wait a minute, it's not impossible that it could come back to me. If I can believe that it can come back to me, and I desire and wish for it to come back to me, at the same time without being attached, that my happiness depends on it. That's very important too. You have an attachment to the object and you have a desire to bring it back. At the same time, if your happiness depends on it, that means that what you are offering, that you are feeling right now, is the sorrow of the lack of it. And as long as you are having that in your vibrational stream, it is going to be your reality. That is what you're dialed into. That's what will be represented to you on your timeline, is not having it. So the first thing you need to do is to become aware of all of that is, and to become aware, all of that is. And all of that is the vibration that you're offering, what you can believe, what you understand about reality, and the desire you feel. And that you have this idea and this knowing that there is that possibility for it to come back to you, and that would be your preferred outcome. That would be your preferred reality, is that it would come back to you because you know it would make you so happy. At the same time, it is a possibility, but your happiness doesn't depend on it. If it doesn't happen, this feeling that you have right now of sorrow of having lost it will heal and get balanced again and find its counterpart, so to speak, to balance it out and to get healed. in the story of it, in the vibration of it, in a different way that you can't see yet. But what it really is that you want it to become whole again. There's something where there is a feeling of regret and sorrow, and you want that to get healed. And your preferred way of it getting healed is by the object coming back to you, and thereby also showing you how magical life is. And the more impulses of this magic that you get, the more you find confidence in your conscious creating. This is how you learn. And at the same time, you're not attached to the outcome being in this way. Because attachment is always holding on to something, is always you hold on in fear. It is not being in trust. And the only way anything can come about is through openness, through allowing it to flow, and that is in trust, that is in an open palm. A bird can only land in an open palm that is not attached, that is not sticky. Yes? A bird will only come to this peaceful open palm that is open to all possibilities. And that's where it will feel, in that field, it will feel comfortable landing and coming to you, this magic. A palm that is closed and in such hope, it's coming from this place of pain. It's coming from a place of fear that continuously offering the same vibration, regurgitating, justifying, continuing, recreating the same vibration of lack and of sorrow that it has left, and you don't know how it's going to come back, and oh, it's something you can't do anything about, and oh, I can't see how this is ever going to heal. How should this heal? It's done. It is done. And so you just simply recreate this same vibration of sorrow, regret, and lack. Can you feel that now? And that's how you're stuck, and that's how you're holding on to that timeline where that exists, where this stream, where this particular part of it remains the same. Everything around it can change. Also you're always changing vibrations and timelines and so forth. But this remains the same. This part remains the same. So we're only focusing on this part right now. So the first thing that needs to happen is you just see the whole picture, that this whole thing happened so that we would have this moment, so that we would have this potential, that this potential could be played out in one way or another. That I feel this pain of loss, first of all, and this could only come by having lost it. That I feel how much it meant to me, and that I believe that everything can be healed, and that the healing will come in one way or another. And I don't simply deny it either, like, oh, I can't do anything about it, I lost it. It's coming back to me. So many times I'm thinking about how sad I am that I lost it. To acknowledge everything in my field, to acknowledge these thoughts, and now to acknowledge what it has brought forth. And so as I am opening up to the potential of this painful, unpleasant vibration that is in my reality, that's the first step. How it will be healed, how I can receive the healing of it, the completion of this story, the rebalancing of this story. And it will come in whichever way. And I also I have noticed, or yes, I'm also noticing, I'm having this idea that it is not impossible that it will come back to me, and that, yes, would be my preferred and most joyful that I can imagine outcome, that it would come back to me. And I can see that everything is possible, and as I can see that everything is possible, and now I'm opening up to it, it will come to me in a way that when it does come, if it should come in that way, because it could come also in a different way, that I don't receive the object back, but that it will be healed in a different way, and I don't have that feeling anymore because I see why it happened. You know, let's say it would be healed in a different way because something that this story that is attached to this story would get spun out in a different way, and I would see, oh wow, if I hadn't lost this object that I love, and I hadn't gone through the pain of loss of it, I would not have this experience now, which comes full circle, and which within the full circle of it, I can see the learning curve. I can see what it brought to me in expansion of consciousness and expansion also of my emotional field and possibilities that I see, and how I understand reality and all this understanding that it brought forth. And so I can be grateful for that it happened, and with it coming full circle, it completely like transforms. There's no longer this feeling of regret and pain of loss. And this can come in many ways. And I have the idea also, it can come in many ways, and one possibility is that it can actually, in its physical form, come back to me. That's one of the possibilities. And because I can see, not how, but I know because of the structure of reality that it can and it could happen. I have no idea how, and it would be absolutely magical if it would. But I am open. I know that magic can happen. And so that is one possibility, and because I am open to it. But I'm at the same time, I'm not attached to it coming in exactly the healing, the full circle, coming in that way that it actually comes back to me. Even though that's my preferred, I feel that like emotionally really is like the most tangible, preferred way. But it's also very important that I do not attach to that preference, because if I would, it would mean that I am not in full 100% surrendered trust to creation. And creation is my soul stream, where it goes all the way back to the light, all the way back to God, and that's all streaming through me. If I attach to that one version of the healing of this feeling of loss of this object, which would be it actually coming back to me, that would mean that I shut myself off in that from all potential, from the quantum field where all potential exists, absolutely all of it. So I shut myself off from that part of my soul stream, and that means that in the attachment of it, I make it impossible. That's the thing. If I attach to my preferred outcome, I create a distortion field there. Yeah. Can you feel that? Yeah. Because if I attach to it, I don't trust. I'm not in full trust. And I need that full trust for the highest outcome to occur. You see. The highest outcome always includes everyone involved. Absolutely everyone. Because it goes back to the quantum field, which is the one light where everything exists. Even that which is not manifest. All hearts converge as one. All light is the source of light that is then shining into all its aspects and forms through this web of life, through the soul stream, through the light stream. Yeah, through the hearts of the souls, through the dimensions. Yeah. Okay, so good. The work is done. You understood. You saw the whole picture, and now you know what you prefer, you know your feelings, you know your desires, you feel that you're not attached to the outcome because you're in trust. You know that now already the healing is on its way. It will come in whichever way. That you know, because you can already see that. And you're not attached to it because you are in trust. And you can see it is happening. And so now you can let it go because you lean back and just, it is done. It has been seen to the fullest of your capacity at this moment. And this already lifts your stance within this story of having lost this object, because now it becomes a very exciting story. Now it becomes a story of potential. Now it becomes a story of wonder. I wonder how this is going to be healed, and I'm looking forward to it. So you see, you already shifted your vibration towards this part of your story. So you're already shifting, shifting in a timeline where this part of your light stream, that you actually feel it. You can feel it in your body, right? Where is it representative in your body? It's in this area right here, on the left side of your heart. You can feel it. And it's active. And it's shifting. So, our work now is done. And we just let it go. We let it flow. Thank you. Thank you. Now, every time that you'll think of it, it will be representative by a different vibration. It will be the vibration of wonder and gratitude. And deep connection. Can you feel that? So already the sorrow is being healed. By shifting your perspective, your understanding has shifted about this happening. It is no longer, it shouldn't have happened, and oh, it's so sad that it happened. It is like, wow. Now it's wow. Wow. What a something like this, losing an object that you love, that you have an emotional attachment to. What wonder it can bring, what opening it can bring, what deepening it can bring. So that regardless of what happened to it, even if it should have been stolen, what you feel now about it is a wow and an opening and a receiving of that it happened. No longer a resistance, a sorrow that it happened. An opening and a receiving that it happened. And that actually it makes this object so much more valuable than it was before. And just allow yourself to now feel the shift in your body. Enjoy that, to really feel that opening.